Struggling to stay up to date with social media? Do you want to get ahead online? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Public Sector Marketing Show, the podcast for public sector professionals who want to elevate their digital communications. Here's your host, Joanne Sweeney.
Well, hello everyone, and you're welcome. So today we are celebrating the relaunch of our website, publicsectormarketingpros.com. And it's been a project that's been in the pipeline. And for marketers in the room, you will understand that developing a new website is a huge amount of work. And we ourselves were slowed down by it. Hi, Andy. Andy is joining. Good to see you here. And we were slowed down in the process of launching our website for a whole host of reasons. Number one, we lost our own momentum. Our client work took over, so we had to prioritize that. And then I had to re-record all of our courses and our content, and I'll talk about that. But it's great to see you all here, and let me just test the chat function. So where in the world are you beaming in from? Let me know. We always have a lovely mix of people coming in from around the world. So let me know where in the world you are. I already see some familiar faces there, so I could probably tell you where you're coming from. And always we're talking about the weather. We've got Kerry, we've got cloudy Newport and County Mayo, Dublin, Louth. It's sunny in Dublin, Galway, Limerick, Dublin. Andy, we always do this in our webinars. We always talk about the weather. It's a great...
I love it.
Yeah, it's like a great icebreaker. Are British people like that too? Do you like talking about the weather?
Oh, of course. Usually moaning about it though, naturally.
Well, yes, just like us. So hi, Teresa, good to see you. Sun is shining in Dundalk. Marie, what's it like in Donegal? I'm going there on Friday. Sinead is in Kilkenny and not the such sunny southeast today. Well, it's great to have you all here, and I am joined by Andy Lambert. And if you guys have been following me for a number of years, you will know that previously Andy and I had a monthly social media marketing show, and Andy did all the work, and I just showed up and asked a few questions, which was fantastic. And today I've invited him back because I love his social media updates. I love when he talks about social. I love when he talks about Adobe Express and the new Gen AI features that are built in. So we're going to talk about that. But to start, I'd kind of like to talk about the website, just to get that over and done with, because I know that you're here actually for the content. But give me some grace and space to celebrate our new website that has caused us so much pain. And because there's marketers in the room, Andy, I'm a little bit anxious because, these are people that will scrutinize websites and tell me whether it's nice or whether it's not. And can I just say how good my community are? Somebody actually emailed me on Friday and did a bit of a recce and a review and gave me some feedback, which I'm hugely appreciative for. So as part of today's session, we'll go for about 45 minutes, maybe a little bit longer if you guys have lots of questions. We'll talk about the state of social and the state of AI in 2024. I feel like I'm always talking about it, but it feels like there's always something new to talk about. So back to the website, publicsectormarketingpros.com, and we've introduced a new e-commerce shop. So I do sell knowledge, I do sell subject matter expertise, but the product, I guess, are our trainings and our accredited courses. So we've turned that into an e-commerce shop and made, we hope, the user experience a little bit more enjoyable. We've also expanded the number of courses and trainings, and even short trainings that you can get from us. And often people would have said, Joanne, I didn't realize that you did, you know, audit strategy, implementation, standard operating procedures. Didn't realize that actually we could hire you guys to come to our event and do live social, or that you're a keynote speaker, or that we could get in-company training. So we've made that more explicit on the site. People know me for doing online training, but there's so much more that we do. And we love those customization pieces. And thanks to my colleague Jamelia for joining. She has been driving this project as our CMO. All I've done is ask the questions going, are we ready to go live, and review copy and stuff like that. So kudos to her, and she'll put some links in the chat as we go through. You might as well, Jamelia, hit the main website link and put it in chat. I did have to update the courses. This is the unfortunate thing about actually running a business that is around digital and social, because it always is changing. So I went into the studio for 2 weeks and I updated our 3 signature courses. So these are CPD accredited, the Professional Diploma in Digital Communications for Government and Public Sector. That's a brand new one. And I ran the beta on this over October and November 2023. And then I re-recorded it in Q1. That's brand new. That covers like PR, social media, digital marketing. It's got AI in it. It's got analytics. So it's kind of like a cross-channel digital comms. The most favored course by all our clients and students is the Professional Diploma in Social Media for Government and Public Sector. That's been re-recorded and done. And then finally, the Social Media Bootcamp, and that's short and sharp, and that's been re-recorded as well. So these are on-demand courses. It's my preference that people take these in their own time, so not on a schedule. But what I do in between is when you take a module, I show up and we do that mentoring, and you kind of bring your questions. So everything is there. There's a whole host of amazing resources and tutorial videos. And when I design these courses, I know the job of public sector pros, and I know the importance of getting knowledge that you can apply now and not just at the end of the program. So the whole way throughout these modules, I'm asking you to think about how you can apply the knowledge to your job right now. And I want to give away some gifts today. So if you're on LinkedIn and we're connected, you can send me a DM there. If you're on the gram and we're connected, you can send me a DM there. It's JS Grams Digital, or it's Joanne Sweeney on LinkedIn. So I'm going to give away one of our signature accredited courses today, up to the value of €2,500. And I'm also going to give away 5 copies of my book in hard copy. All I want you to do is tell me why you need the book or why you want one of our courses. I will choose the winners and I will come back to you probably tomorrow. So that's the simple competition. We also have a new course that is coming up, and I'm just going to skip to it. I'm working on a new accredited AI for public sector marketing course. So we do have a landing page up there at the moment. And we can, Jamelia, if you can add the link to that there. And there is a form at the bottom of that page. And what I'm looking for at the moment, and I know I have a couple of people who've already expressed their interest, but I need you to fill out the form. I'm looking for a group of about 10 or 12 people to do that beta with me, and to let me take you through the content and to road test it before it gets accredited. And I would love to get 10 or 12 people to sign up. So if you're a public sector marketing pro, go ahead and fill out the form and I will be in touch with you. And I think Jamelia has already put it in chat. Yes, she has. So thank you very much. Okay, so let's jump on and have a little wander around the website. If you want to wander around it afterwards and you find more glitches, we'd only be too delighted to have all these expert eyes on it. Of course, we've optimized it for mobile and for all devices. We've got a new color scheme. And we've tried to lay it out to make it a little bit more user-friendly, easier to navigate, and for people to understand what we really do. It's very hard, as you know, when you're involved in your own marketing, to be the best pair of marketing eyes, because you're so close to it. So we definitely love your feedback. So there's the accredited courses listed. And then we have these on-demand or live courses. So some of these will be, again, available to take in your own time, or you can hire me to deliver them internally to your own organization, or I might schedule them in my calendar to bring groups of people in. So a whole host of trainings there. The webinars will continue to be free and will continue to happen every month. And the library of them are there, and you can rewatch them back. And then within the academy, kind of shorter, sharper resources, the boot camp is what's working on social right now. It's about 6 to 7 hours long. And then the social media done for you is an actual product where we give you all our templates that you would need for social media marketing within your public sector agency. So you can get the bundle, use my templates, watch my tutorial videos. If it's not a course that you're after, but you want to apply the knowledge, that's a really good product. And then we just go through the other items that we do. So audit strategy, implementation, running campaigns for you across social, running your event, social media. I've got a lovely MC event actually for the Irish government next month that I'm looking forward to doing. So I really love when people reach out and ask me to get involved in their events. And then of course, if it's something more bespoke, I will write it and design it from scratch and then deliver it. And with all of the trainings that we do, you get to own the resources. Also, you can have 30 minutes with me free at any time. I launched that about 18 months ago, that kind of career guidance call, or maybe just to unpack a digital challenge that you're having. They're 30 minutes. They're absolutely free. There's no commitment to do business with us. And it's just part of our values of giving and leading with value. And then we have all of the podcasts. And would you believe today is marking 100 episodes of the Public Sector Marketing Show. So I thought it was a great day to launch the website, to invite you all in to speak to Andy and I, and to just recognize that 100 episodes has been a lot of commitment, but the consistency of having that podcast has really been transformative for my business over the last, I'm going to say 2 and a bit years, because people get to get free knowledge, learn a little bit more about me and, you know, how I approach digital and social. And it builds trust, you know, and I love content marketing as a discipline. It's probably my favorite. So all of the archived episodes are there. And of course, if you're not in the Tuesday newsletter, get in. I always try and bring a little bit of value there. We've got our publications on our site. Most of those are absolutely free that you can download. And I'm going to stop there, but it looks fresh. We're delighted with it. There's still some things we want to tweak, but if we waited for it to be perfect, it would never happen. All right, Andy, can we come back to you now? And
looking good though, Joanne. Nice work.
Do you like it?
Yeah, looks nice. Yeah, labor of love, I bet.
Well, it was a labor of love. Then we fell out of love with it, but now we're falling back into love with it again. So that's good.
Good.
So can you just introduce yourself to those that are on today that don't know you and haven't met you online?
Of course, yeah. Hello, everyone. I see a few names I remember and recognise in the chat. So nice to see you again for those I've met before. I'm Andy, currently working as a senior product manager at Adobe. Probably more interestingly, though, about 8 years ago, I co-founded a social media marketing platform called ContentCal. of which we grew predominantly through social media, as you might hope. Grew that to becoming one of the fastest growing social media platforms globally. And it got so well recognized that Adobe came along and bought us in December 21, which still feels like a bit of a fairy tale, to be honest. And throughout the course of that journey, naturally, I've had to be very close to the social network, social trends, what's happening on social, to build and orientate a platform and create the best possible product that helps everyone get better at social. And now we're doing the same again here at Adobe, just on an even wider scale. So yeah, that's me.
And it's a wonderful business success story, because if we think about the kings and the leaders in the creative and tech industry and technology, Adobe is certainly one of them. So I was always just so happy for you, but also impressed by how you've got acquired by Adobe. But you're also now so close to their products, and Adobe Express in particular, that we'll talk about today. And just hands up, we are an Adobe Express ambassador. So we do create content on behalf of Adobe Express, but we do it because we use it ourselves. And those of you that are in here today know that I promote what I use initially, but we were thrilled to be invited to be part of the ambassador program. So we do get paid for the content that we create, and we do say that with our hashtags and our tags on social. But apart from that, we love the moves that you've been making. So maybe let's step into what's been new at Adobe Express, because you've had your own exciting launch recently with the launch of the app and the generative AI features that's within it. So talk to us about that, Andy.
Yeah, sure. And let me know if you want me to share my screen at any point.
Well, if you want to, you can.
Yeah.
I'll make you co-host.
Yeah, let's do that. It's a bit more interesting than everyone just listening to me waffle on. So let's go ahead and let's jump into it. Cool. So I'll spare you all the full demo, but this gives you a bit of an idea of what it's all about. If you're not familiar with Adobe Express, the quick 30,000 foot view, it's like the best of Adobe, but for the masses. Because naturally, you'll probably be familiar with Adobe from like Photoshop or Illustrator or some of the big flagship products, which are great if you're skilled in using them and you've got that design capability. So nothing beats them. Wonderful. But for the vast majority of people, including me and social media marketers, aren't necessarily trained designers. So to that end, then naturally you need to use a tool that's maybe a little more accessible, a little easier to use, but still takes some of the goodness from the tens of years of experience of building creative tools at Adobe. And that's what Adobe Express is to do, taking all of the goodness from Adobe and just making it super easy to use. So we've spoken a little bit about generative AI. You'll see some of those AI capabilities right on the home page here. Text to image, you'll be familiar with what that's all about. And typically for kind of public sector use cases, probably this wouldn't be the most highly used feature, if I'm honest. However, things like generative fill would be. Imagine that you've taken a photo at an event, for example, and you've got some randos in the background that you don't want there anymore. So you can just remove them with generative fill. Then maybe you've got an image that's kind of the wrong aspect ratio. You've got the perfect shot, but it's not in the right aspect ratio. Generative fill will do the hard work and make that photo fit the use case that you need it for. So maybe it was something from Instagram and it's very square, but you need it for a website banner. Then generative fill will fill in all of the edges of that image. So that's super powerful. And one of those things that has just been out of the capabilities of mere mortals like myself, because I don't have any necessary design skills. So that's where AI can be super useful. Text to template is one of our latest AI features, and that gives you, as the name suggests, if you're familiar with using creative tools, maybe you've used Express or maybe you've used other similar tools like Canva, for example, you'll naturally have like templates that you'll use and be familiar with. Templates are a great way of like reusing and repurposing content in a very consistent brand style. is something that I'm a big proponent of. I'm a big proponent of this as it relates to social media stuff too, because the more consistent and modularized you can be, the better your results, because consistency typically breeds success, and especially when you've got that consistent brand identity. That's what templates are amazing for. And similarly, here you can just literally specify whatever you want, and it will create a template for you. Text effects probably a little less relevant for everyone on this call in this instance, but quite fun to use anyway. The other generative AI capability that we've just been building out, and this is particularly pertinent for what we're talking about here. Here, as you can see, I've just gone into the schedule functionality within Adobe Express. So this is, as I was talking about in the story at the beginning, this is really the net result of our company being acquired a couple of years ago, because we wanted to build all of the goodness that we'd created in a standalone social media marketing platform, but build it into a platform that allows people to do the whole end-to-end creation journey, creating from an idea, coming up and building templates, creating a brand, and then being able to publish that directly without leaving a platform. That's always been the ambition, and that's what we're, I wouldn't say it's fully realized yet. We've still got a long way to go. But one of the most important things here as a side note is that everything I'm showing you is all entirely free. And I think this makes it the only entirely free social media publishing platform. And that's just something, as a small business, you would never have the commercial realities that you face when you're running a small business. You couldn't ever do something like that. So now we can make loads of stuff free, which is great, including this other AI tool. So all the other AI tools I've showed you already. But for anyone that knows me, that every Tuesday on LinkedIn, I talk about the 4 most important social media updates that we hear in a day. And writing copy for social content is kind of hard and takes a lot of time. So how do we make it quicker? This is where the generative AI capabilities come into it. So here I've just written social media news. I'm just going to generate a brand new caption, generate a new caption here. The nice thing about this caption writer, as opposed to other caption writing tools that you might use, ChatGPT, etc., this has all been trained on social media content. It's just for social media writing. So you might see it being a little more kind of social media relevant. So you'll see like hashtag, well-chosen hashtags. You'll see it focuses on like an initial hook as well. So this is not just about like getting words on a page. This is about helping you write social first copy. So it can be quite good for that. So here I've generated something, likely, and I would always recommend, you're going to want to put your kind of human curatorial touch on anything you generate of AI, right? It's the human touch that makes the magic. It's the AI that just speeds things up, right? AI is not, everyone calls AI magic, but it's really human creativity. That's the magic. And AI is more of just an empowerer for human creativity. So here, let's just say we want to rewrite a couple of bits, or maybe it's a little too long. Maybe this second paragraph, we're like, doesn't really sound like us. So we can just generate, and then we're just going to rewrite that section. To be honest with you, it's the rewrite section that I use more than anything else here, because, I'll write something. I'll usually do the first draft and go, it's a little bit verbose. And this gives you an opportunity of just like basically having like a curator or an editor on your side. So again, allowing you to speed up the whole content creation process. So I dive straight into that, Joanne, so forgive me, but hopefully that gives a bit of an idea as to where we're at today with AI, but there's a lot more to come.
And it's great to see it in practice. And I've always said where AI can help us as marketers is actually having a new assistant, almost like having an extra person on your team that can do that manual, laborious, task-based social media marketing kind of role, where maybe we can spend that time that's freed up on the strategic and the critical thinking piece. Also, just to say, I love the user experience and the interface here. It's very clean. It doesn't feel overwhelming, and very easy to navigate. I see that Jamila put the link to Adobe Express into chat. So go ahead and set up an account. You need what, Andy? An email address and a password?
That's it.
Yeah.
Just it. Nothing more.
Yeah. And maybe we can launch our first poll. So Andy, I'll get you to stop sharing your screen. And Julie, can you put the poll on screen around AI, and let's see where people are at in terms of AI use. That would be great. I'm sure, like me, Andy, you are using AI even within Adobe Express, but testing other AI tools. We've got Google, who launched Bard, and now it's Gemini. We have Meta AI, currently not available in Ireland. Is it in the UK? Have you got access?
It is now, yeah.
In the UK. And then we have, well, ChatGPT, but last week they launched ChatGPT 4.0, or is it 0?
Yeah, I think they just call it 4.0, which is slight. Their naming confuses the hell out of me. But yeah, ChatGPT 4.0, which is basically ChatGPT, but made ChatGPT 4, but made free, which is quite generous.
Okay, so let me get the poll. Okay, so let me launch the poll. Sorry, Julia didn't have permissions, but I have. So can you see that on your screen? Let me know. So the question is, rate the importance your organization is putting on AI skills and testing. Because we're kind of at that stage. I'm testing, I'm learning, my team is, nobody expects anyone to have all the answers. And more particularly, what you need is use cases. And that's what I want to do in this beta trial of the course. We need public sector marketing use cases that we can then share as case studies. So what's the importance? Is it very important, somewhat important, important, or not at all important? So 50% are saying it's somewhat important, and then 14% equally are saying it's very important or it's just important, but 23% it's not important at all. And I'm interested in the different levels of importance that you're putting on it. So go ahead and go into chat and give me the reason for your answer, just to get some sort of kind of sampling on insight, if you're kind of willing to share it. We put high importance on it because we have to be the leaders to learn in order to teach. And then the other side of that is, as a marketer, if I am not fully competent in how AI can help me, I'm going to become irrelevant, right, in my role. So if anyone wants to share in chat the reason for your answer, that would be really good. In my own experience to date, some of the reasons that people are not putting an importance on it is, as Orla's just saying, people are hesitant. And all of that hesitancy maybe comes from a lack of knowledge. So if we start inputting proprietary or confidential information into these, models that are trained, is that information going to go beyond our organization, and how secure is it? So there's definitely nervousness around governance, and data protection. Teresa's saying finding the time to see how it will impact my job is challenging. 100%. I've had to, in my calendar, block out like a day and go, this is for AI training for me, so I'm not doing anything else, because I know if I'm trying to slot an hour in here and there, I'm not going to have the brain capacity. And then a great question that Teresa puts is, where do I start? Where do I start? And I think the starting point, and again, maybe I can help with this on a webinar, is, what's the purpose of AI within your organization? What can it do for you? And then can we get a use case together? So I'll be doing that in that beta course. So again, if you want to join that, put your name in the forum. Neve says, we're definitely open to investigating it in the EPA, but we're very wary about jumping in. You almost want your public sector marketing colleagues to jump in first and then have a get together. But that's what I will try and do. I'll try and help you guys jump in and we'll do it together. I'm saying it's somewhat important for now, but we're just not ready to jump in. Yeah, get it? Kaz says, I'm still learning and I really don't want to expand on this until I'm really confident. So a lot of similar responses there. Andy, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I really appreciate the honest feedback, actually. And I don't think anyone would probably be lying if they didn't feel daunted by what's happening right now. So even though you and I, Joanne, we're really close to it, I certainly feel daunted and overwhelmed most of the time because the pace of change is insane. So just know that you're in good company anyway, and it's okay to feel that way because most people do. And to be honest with you, like the way I think about AI really is more in workflow enablement. Anything that's going to collapse workflows, particularly for me as it relates to mostly content creation, that's really the way I look at it right now. There's lots where we're at a very difficult stage with AI where the technology and the development is ahead of the use cases.
Yes.
Right? So there's lots of like, oh, isn't this amazing? You can do this, you can do that. It's like, it's great, it's fine. But like from a business perspective, particularly so in public sector, like how do you actually unlock that and use it? And there's an example that I'm willing to share because I think this is it's a good one. So because I was going to ask you as well, Joanne, whether you've got any particular use cases. I don't know whether you want to go first. I've got two scenarios that I want to share. But
go on, you go first. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to share my screen again. I know I'm doing this off cuff, but I thought, why not? Well, cool. So one, this isn't an Adobe product, but I'll always represent other products that I use and love.
We love this one. This is going to be one of my examples. Yes.
Sorry if I've stolen your thunder, but
no, it's brilliant.
It's one of those, this is what I mean about like, this is where AI really, really is helpful because this is one of the most tedious, painful things imaginable, editing video and finding like the good social moments within a video. Obviously, Joanne, you are a prolific content creator and you create lots of long form content. And I'm sure lots of other people have on this call have longer form video that they could do something with. And Opus Clip is amazing at just finding those moments in those videos and just immediately cutting that up for you and ranking it based on trend, engagement, flow, and hook. So here it will score its own interpretation. I've just uploaded the video. It's done its work. It took about an hour or so. Just went off and got an email notification when it was done. And you come back and then you've got 25 different cuts of a video that are ready to post, which is, I mean, that in itself, if you do that kind of thing, it's quite literally, we use the term quite a lot, so it doesn't mean anything anymore, but this really is game changing. So yeah, what about you, Joanne? Because obviously you use it too.
I use it. So if you go to my Instagram or go to my TikTok, right, and you see my short clips, I am using Opus Pro. It has saved us, I am not joking, a day and a half a week, also cost. And yeah, we did replace a human being with this technology. And what it does is, Andy says, my podcast every week, I get 23 to 25 clips and I can then just fill my content pipeline. So it's an editor, it timestamps it and play your video, but see how well the video production is with the dynamic captions.
Was the period over COVID, where we had to go from in-person events to webinars. All of a sudden, it was very, very virtual, 13 locations.
I don't know if you could hear that or not.
Yeah, we could, yeah. So if you've got the dynamic captions, it gives you a perfect soundbite, and you can also choose what length of clip you want. So you can have like 15 seconds or 30 to 60 seconds. And then you just put that into your social media management tool and off you go. It's a total game changer. So I didn't know you were going to pick this one, but that's definitely my favorite. So I'll go with the next one. And one I'm testing at the moment is Descript. So I was on a panel with Descript at Radio Days Europe in, where were we, Teresa? Were we in Munich? Was I in Munich in March. Listen, I can't remember. It's St. Patrick's Day. Yes, I think I was. And my intention is that, like, I've got 100 episodes of the Public Sector Marketing Show. Each episode's around 40 minutes. I've got a load of blog posts, so I write those blog posts in my own tone. I've got 100 of those. I've got my book. I've got all my other reports that I've written. I've got all my emails. And using Claude or Jasper for my copy, I will train it in how I write and my tone of voice, because I consider myself a writer, so I get a little bit precious about, getting content from AI. But I want to train them first in how I write, and then secondly, I'm going to train Descript in my voice. And then what I want to do is, when I get an email from any of my community and they say, hey, Joanne, we've got this challenge. How would you approach it, and what product or course would you recommend? I want them to get a video back from me. But guess what's going to happen? I won't need to create that video, because guess what? I have answered all of your questions multiple times over. So it's going to create video for me. So yes, that's where I'm going, Andy. I want to get to there by the end of the year. So we've got a lot of work internally first to do it. And it's going to be a combination of AI tools and then integrations to get me there. But I think that will be a game changer. And, do we want to hear from AI, Joanne? Well, maybe not, but if it's all my content, why not? Okay, so what's your next one?
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think that's the one, if I'm honest, I still grapple with and I struggle with, because especially as someone that creates a lot of video, and I know there are now tools that could clone my voice, and essentially I could write in a prompt and have a video of me without me speaking into the camera and doing all of the takes and all of the off camera, oh, I've got it wrong again. I struggle. I do struggle with that. And that's where my own kind of personal insecurities probably lie. And I think, like I said, like being open and honest, I'm a tech optimist, but there's still some components that I'm like, okay, I can definitely get some efficiency with cloning myself, but is that okay? Not saying there is no answer to it, but yeah, I struggle with that one still.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll share something else very quickly. I think this is probably my favorite. Just you mentioned this a second ago, Joanne. Claude is one of my favorite. Just go to general generative AI tools. Find it just a little bit more friendly than ChatGPT. It's all very subjective, but I quite like its tone. Feels less robotic. Very human. And I don't know if you're anything like me. Whenever you're asked something of AI, I tend to say please and thank you, because I like to be polite to these people, because when our AI overlords take over at some point, I want them to let them know that I was on their side. So anyway, what I'm going to ask in this instance, and I think this is a very realistic use case, which I think is useful for everyone. So here I've just exported a bunch of stuff from my LinkedIn posts. Because what I want to do is understand what's worked so well so far for my LinkedIn content. There's only like a week's worth of posts that I've just taken here, like the copy, impressions, engagement, just a simple export from LinkedIn, done nothing with it. I could read it and I could try and interpret like what posts are doing well, what style of video, whether it's media, etc. That analysis stuff, if we're not data analysts and we don't love analyzing data, AI is perfect for this. So all I need to do here is go to Claude, but you could do the same in ChatGPT. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. And I'm just going to say, if I could spell, please can you tell me what type of LinkedIn posts have worked well for me based on this data? What I learn this for future posts. Cool. Literally, it looks a complete mess. I've just copied and pasted that spreadsheet in. I didn't think that this would work, but it's clever enough to then figure it out.
Can we just talk about the satisfaction that you get when it brings you something of high value?
That it is one of those true wow moments, because it's quite easy to be negative around generative AI, because a lot of, like we said, like the use cases and the demo videos, it's all wow, but it's very hard to then start figuring out how did it really impact me. But when you start figuring out those things where it's opus clip or Descript, as you were talking about, Joanne, or something that just analyzes all of your data in a second, then you're like, now I get it. Because we might not have spent any time thinking about this, because we all know we should learn from our previous content to understand what resonates so we can build better content moving forward. I've been in social media for years and years, as you have, Joanne. Does anyone really do it? Not really. If we're going to admit it to ourselves, we'll typically do a report to then appease our bosses. But do we really have time to look through lots of data? No. But now that takes 30 seconds at best at the beginning of the week to then go, okay, now I understand that what post drove the most engagements. So what has resonated particularly well with an audience? 5 practical tips to help reorientate my content strategy for the next week or next month. And I only did that with a tiny proportion of data. Imagine if you just literally exported from Meta Business Suite, just export your analytics from both Facebook and Instagram over the last year, put that into ChatGPT, and you'll get some really, really interesting stuff. And that is a week's worth of work in analyzing all of that stuff properly. So that, for me, I found that, again, game-changing, but very simple.
And the key point about AI is the more that you test and you learn and you trial it, the more you will see its capabilities and its power, Okay, let's go to chat. Does anyone have a question on AI for Andy or I? I mean, if we can answer them, we surely will. And before we jump on to the state of social and what's happening on social, maybe we'll jump on, Andy, and take the questions maybe at the end. But listen, we're nearly halfway through the year. Social media is changing. It's always changing. One thing I want to call out is I was with TikTok HQ in Dublin 2 weeks ago. That's where their European headquarters are. And I was in a meeting with their head of government and policy there. And I've been asking this question, and people will know on this call, I've been asking this question of TikTok for over 2 years, and they wouldn't come on the podcast, but I got an opportunity to be at this meeting. And I asked them, what is the position with government agencies having advisory notes from their cybersecurity centers that they should not have the TikTok app on work phones? And I was told quite explicitly, and I put it in my e-sign last week, that there is a dispensation for government and public sector staff who work in marketing and comms. Right from the horse's mouth. I have asked for it in writing, and they've said that is the current advisory. So if you've not heard that on your side, I've heard that from them, and I'm going to get it in writing. But that for me means you have the permission to join TikTok. And the longer that you're not there, the longer that you're missing that audience. And right now, from an Irish perspective, because I know the figures off the top of my head, there are 2.5 million Instagram users. There are 2.4 million TikTok users. So something for you guys to think about. Andy, over to you. What came up at your last Tuesday social media broadcast? What do people need to know?
Right. There's quite a lot here, but I'll keep it fairly short. I'll share some stuff as well, because I think that's always going to make it more interesting. What's happening? What's happening is that social media is continuing to grow every single year. More and more people joining social. We're on this call, so you don't need extra reassurance that social media is pretty significant and meaningful. Quick reminder to some of the world's most used social platforms. All of them continue to grow. TikTok's growth has slowed marginally, but 1.5 billion users, it's absolutely incredibly significant. And I think one of the things that's most significant about TikTok is the average time spent per user is wild at the moment. And it can only be matched somewhat by YouTube. So the amount of time that people spend on a platform makes a great deal of difference for how successful our content will be, because the more time an average user spends on a platform, the more opportunity there is for our content to be seen. So always worthwhile looking at some of this data, which obviously I'm happy to share. I'm going to skip a few pieces because I know we haven't got much time, and usually I'd take a whole hour to go through all of this anyway, but I'll touch on a few key things. This one kind of blew my mind, actually, is that I appreciate product discovery is not an essential component for public sector organizations. That being said, however, what we can take from this is that YouTube Shorts in particular is one of the fastest growing formats across social. And we all know the long-term value that YouTube has from an SEO perspective too. So yeah, if we're not thinking about YouTube Shorts, this is definitely something we should consider if we're doing short form video. Because the reality is, if you're already creating some form of short form video for Reels, then there's no reason why you shouldn't maximize the opportunity for both TikTok, as you were just saying, Joanne, a moment ago, if appropriate, and then YouTube too. So continues to grow significantly. And this last bit of data before I share a couple of interesting bits directly from the network themselves. Global social media ad spend has just overtaken, well, it will do over the course of this year for the first time ever. Global ad spend on social is going to take over TV. That just goes to show how significant social media is becoming in all forms of influencing individuals, whether it's products or services or campaigns, whatever it might be. We know that there is very much a shift from a marketing conscious that people are now recognizing the ROI on social and investing heavily in it. So which is good to see. For those organizations that are on X is still not going away, as we know, but usage is declining, and now Threads, interestingly, just in the US at the moment, but it's growing in all other markets. Threads is now has more active users than X in the US, which I found very interesting. So Threads growth has been incredibly significant. Just going to pause on this for a second, actually, to understand whether anyone on this call spends any time on Threads at all. What about you, Joanne, as well, whilst others?
Can I tell you, honestly, I keep forgetting about it.
Me too.
I keep forgetting about it, and then I'm like, oh God, I need to go in there more. I think it's because it's not naturally integrated into the app. I know my Threads is in my bio now, but it takes me out of it, and that's where I want to stay in the app, and I just don't know why they've done that, but I keep forgetting about it, so I'm not an active user.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm the same. Let's see. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, probably about the same kind of narrative that I hear from others. It's yeah, we do a bit on Threads, but it's not taken that seriously, and we can actually see that replicated in this data too, which is the confidence levels of marketers worldwide that social media platforms deliver a positive ROI. So you'll see where people are ranking those platforms. I think you and I are both fairly big fans of LinkedIn, Joanne. So always nice to see LinkedIn at the top, but as you can see, Threads is now at the bottom. Yeah, quite interesting. Not that it should determine our strategy, whatever works for our business and our audience, is more important than just some data.
What's interesting there is also the placement of X. What I am finding anecdotally from speaking to my community and clients is that there's a migration away from X as a priority platform for public sector corporate and peer-to-peer engagement in favor of LinkedIn, and they're going en masse to LinkedIn. And I think this is reflected here. Yeah.
That's very interesting. A couple other things I just want to call out. We've been talking about AI. You've probably seen this already, Joanne, but Meta's AI chatbot, Google search results. I think I saw one of your podcast previews that, so you talk a lot about SEO and search, but the SEO, search and social are becoming ever increasingly as one. I don't know if you've got a take on this.
I just think that Google's in trouble. I just think that with Microsoft, with Bing being second to search, 20 years ago, we're now seeing that the social networks are stepping in and taking the limelight. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think that AI is just reshaping everything, and coupled with social. Yeah, I just think that it's a different landscape. But what's your take?
I think fairly similar. Like with all of this, I wouldn't change my strategy like today, but it's certainly something that is on our horizon where you can really see the future where people won't Google it. Google it won't be a thing. It's the first time it's actually become a realistic scenario that Google's dominance will be challenged. And like we've seen in this data too, just going back here, like the amount of use of social media for brand research. Yes, that's brand research, but it's linked, correlated very heavily with Google.
Yeah.
So people are more going to social, and especially when you're starting to surface Google results in directly in social feeds. TikTok are doing the same. It really helps us more think about our keywords and our searches matter more on social than they do on Google, which is a big change. Sorry for flicking through, because there was just something that I wanted to share here. A couple of practice guidance. Just conscious of time. So for anyone that takes Instagram seriously, this was some interesting guidance from Adam Mazzari. If you don't follow him, he's the head of Instagram. Always worthwhile following him on Insta. So the typical guidance from Instagram is around these three things to get the most from the platform. Frequency of posting, 3 to 5 per week is ideal. Note that stories don't count, however, it's posting to a feed or reels. Hashtags, the never-ending debate as to whether hashtags are good or not. 3 to 8 is the best ones, and don't worry about hashtags that are like For You page or hashtag viral. It doesn't matter. It's really nice to hear some of that kind of like more hacky social media nonsense. They're just dispelling it. Just do relevant stuff, important keywords, relevant hashtags, and don't try and put 25 of them. Also, doesn't matter whether you don't bother putting them in the first comment, because that doesn't matter anymore apparently. Just put them in the caption. And trending audio gets you in the algorithm. This is the bit that I struggle with the most, I would say. For reels, naturally they're very keen on using trending audio for that. We also know, when I'm always thinking about social media from a business perspective, and businesses can't just go ahead and use a Taylor Swift track, because you get yourself in a lot of hot water for that. So that's a tricky one, I would say. Don't know if you've got a take on any of this, Joanne.
Yeah, I mean, I do lean in on this hack of using trending audio, and I pull it right down to like volume 1 or something, just so that the algorithm knows it's there. And I do see the difference in the reach. And what I love about Reels on Instagram is that it shows our content to a load of non-followers. I've seen even like a 60-40 split, like 40% of video views are coming from non-followers. That's a gift, from Instagram, and they're showing your Reels to Facebook followers too. So kind of reawakening a dormant Facebook audience. So I think Instagram is such a brilliant platform for public sector. And I feel like it's your training ground for TikTok. And just on the search piece, in that meeting with TikTok, they give me a percentage. I can't remember it now. I do have it in my notebook, and I'll send it out hopefully in next week's e-zine when I get the actual script from TikTok of what they said. But they said, I think it's around 20 to 30% of their users now, because they've been kind of sampling them and surveying them, are saying that they want and expect content on TikTok from politicians and from government agencies. So, and they expect to see it and they don't mind it being there. So there you go. It's like the app is fulfilling all our kind of education, entertainment, news and information needs. So again, another rationale to think about going there.
Yeah, I found that fascinating as TikTok's evolved and become like the education platform for younger generations. Like the growth of firstly BookTok and then FinTok, which is now like a whole thing around financial advice. I mean, you can question like receiving financial advice on TikTok might be slightly questionable for some impressionable youngsters, but still, like, people are navigating towards TikTok to learn and better themselves in the areas that they want to develop in, which is, I think it's interesting to me how like TikTok has gravitated more towards that education platform than Instagram has necessarily, and TikTok have really lent into it. That's not to say that Instagram is not a good place for it too, because I agree. And Instagram, the most important point that you've just called out, Joanne, is like organic reach has returned or is returning to these platforms, both Facebook and Instagram, which would have been unimaginable when we first started doing these live streams like 3 or so years ago, Joanne, because the advent of Reels has really opened up a whole new audience, because people are spending more time on those platforms again, which means more opportunity for our content to be seen to new audiences. Exactly your point. And the final point, because Instagram have implemented a new algorithm, I'm conscious of time here, that, and I can share all these slides, that their new algorithm is prioritizing original content, which I think will probably serve everyone on here very well, because there was lots of meme accounts, people that are reposting others' contents that will have impacted our reach. So all of that's getting deprioritized, all of that like engineered viral content that's going away, and they're deprioritizing it. They're prioritizing things that's basically original content, prioritizing smaller creators as well, they say. But the way the algorithm works, and I think that's the really important thing, is that what you'll see first, so you release a video, let's say you release a reel, Instagram will do some form of audience matching. That's why like having a very well articulated caption that mentions your keywords and well-chosen hashtags helps Instagram choose the right audience initially, shows it to a small audience first. Depending on how the rate of engagement of that small audience, watch time, super important. That's kind of like your prime metric. Are people going to be watching towards the end of it? Hence the reason you need to orientate towards shorter form video. If Instagram sees that, oh, initially people are engaging with it, they're watching it to the end, or they're interacting with it, they'll see that in that first small pool, then it gets pushed wider and wider. So what that means for us, what can we do about that? That means, as I said, shorter reels will work better. Hook is super important. So making people watch to the end is critical, and driving some form of interaction. The more that we can get those interaction happening early, the better our content will, the more likelihood our content has of having a longer half-life. So hopefully that makes a degree of sense. I'm going to pause here because otherwise I could go on for the rest of the day and no one wants that.
Brilliant, Andy. Thank you so much. Always appreciate your time. Just a reminder about the competition. You'll have like a day or so. I'll check my DMs. If you want to win one of our courses, just let me know why you need it. And similarly, if you want a copy of the book, tell me why you need it. And I will go back to you and choose a winner. Andy, thank you so much for joining me. I hope, guys, if you're not already on Adobe Express, set up an account. It's absolutely free, and have a play around. Thanks for registering and joining us on this live. If you are watching the replay, thank you also. And you can always put questions to me on the replay, and I do follow up. And thanks to Jamelia for managing the project of our new website and finally getting it live. And here's to 100 more podcasts and episodes of the Public Sector Marketing Show. So that's a wrap from us, and I will speak to you next month. Thank you all. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with a public sector pro you know. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. For more free resources, details of our upcoming training courses and consulting options, log on to publicsectormarketingpros.com.